So we are taking our first look at factoring trinomials when a does not equal 1. So just to refresh our memory, when you're looking at a trinomial, the coefficient of x squared we refer to as a, the coefficient of x is b, and the constant on the end is c. So in this case, a would be 6, b would be positive 1, and then c would be negative 2. Okay, so remember that from before? So our first step is always going to be the same as it has been since we started factoring. It's still take out a common factor if there is one. So step 1, factor out a GCF if there is one. Do we have one this time? No. Not quite. So step 1, there's nothing for me to factor out, but I'm telling you, if there is something, you're going to want to take it out because it will make your life 10,000 times easier with, because sometimes you could factor something out and a does become 1. For example, if we just look at this last example that we did, a wasn't 1 right there, but when you factored out the 3, then a did become 1, and then it was an easy problem. Okay, so here is an example. I guess you have done ones where a isn't 1, but there was a common factor and we got back to it. Okay, this time that's not going to happen. I can't factor something out to make that go away now. So what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? By the way, this method that I'm going to teach you right now is called guess and check. So we should, let me add that right here. By guess and check. There's a few different methods, and which one is best? Well, honestly, guess and check is going to be good for certain types of problems. Guess and check is great when your n numbers don't have that many factors. And usually, if you get used to guess and check, you're usually faster than the other ways. So the other ways aren't bad, but your numbers get really, really big. So this is the best way to keep your numbers small, and it's not so bad when our n numbers don't have that many factors. Yeah.
I gotta ask, this is gonna bother me all day. Why do you have a box of pasta?
Oh, we were using it in trig for they were making sine and cosine curves back there.
Oh, okay.
All right, so nothing for me to factor out, but you always need to check, okay? So, step 2. We are going to write all the factor pairs of A and C. Write factor pairs of A and C. So, what I mean is sometimes people call them, they say make the T's. And not T like us, but T's like the letter T. And then you just write all the numbers that multiply together to get you 6. So for example, 1 times 6, or 2 times 3. And then I do the same thing with my number on the end. You don't have to worry too much about the sign of the number right now. We'll get into that. So the only thing that multiplies to get me 2 is 1 and 2. Now, here's where the tricky part comes in. I want to find a mixture, one of these pairs, with obviously this pair, because that's the only one there, but one of these two pairs with this pair, and I want to figure out a combination of those numbers to get me to a positive 1. Okay? So, I'm going to do this one out so you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So I'm trying to get, so let's look at the 1, 6 and the 1 and 2. Is there a way for me to take one of these two numbers and match it with one of these two numbers, and then the other one and the other one to get me to a positive 4? So for example, 1 times 1 is 1. 6 times 2 is 12. If I added those together, that would give me a 13. I'm trying to get to a 4. So obviously that's not correct.
Where'd the 4
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get to a 1.
Oh.
I had 4 in my brain because that's part of the answer. But anyway, so, okay, maybe that's another combination. Maybe it's this 6 and this 1, and this 1 and this 2. So let's see. 6 times 1, that's 6. And 1 times 2, that's 2. So if I add those together, that's 8. Now hold on, though. There is a negative in there. So what if I just made it a positive 6 and a negative 2? Well, that still gets me to a positive 4. It's not getting me to a positive 1. That's not the right pair. Let's try the 2 and the 3 and the 1 and the 2. All right. So let's just try the first one. So 2 and 1, so that's 2. And then 3 and 2, that's 6.
3 minus 2.
Well, 6 and 2. It doesn't matter, even if I play with the signs. Positive 6, negative 2, both positives, both negatives. They're not going to add to be a positive 1. All right, well, let's try maybe the 2 and the 2 and the 3 and the 1. Okay, maybe you're seeing this now. 2 times 2 gets me positive 4. And then 3 times 1 is a positive 3, but if I just made a negative 3, I'm telling you, it'll make more sense as you practice. So I have a positive 4 if I multiply 2 times 2. Does everybody agree? 2 times 2 is positive 4? 3 times 1 is 3, but since there's a negative in here, I could just call it a negative 3. So I could do a positive 4 and a negative 3 that would add up to be a positive 1. I like to circle the factors once I found them, and I also like to jot down how I got there. Because sometimes there's a lot of numbers swimming in your head and things get confusing. I'll write all this in words in a minute, but I want you to see how I'm doing this now. So once I have the pair of factors that work, and once I know how I want to combine them to get the middle to add up to be B, watch how this breaks down into you're still going to have your 2 sets of parentheses. And this is where usually kids can get here. And then it's this part that should be easy, just putting them in the right spot that they mess up. I'm telling you, you'll get good at doing this part. But now watch how you put it into place. Whatever those 2 numbers are, they're your first terms. Both of them, 2 and 3. They're always the first 2.
I think
Huh?
Yeah, we're doing negative.
Well, I wanted to multiply to be a negative 3 in the end. So watch. 2 times what will get me to a positive 4? 2. And I have to put these 2 numbers in the right spot. Does the 1 go there or does it go here? Does the 2 go here or does it go here? Well, I want to do 2 times 2, and I want that to be positive. So in order for me to get that positive 4, I have to have 2 times a positive 2. And then how do I get to a negative 3?
What? Negative 1.
I put a negative 1 right in there. I know this seems super weird and foreign, and you're like, I'm never going to get this. I promise you, you will. We just have to practice them. Now watch. If I take these 2 things and foil them back together, I should get right back to the original. That's the whole point of this. So if I foil these back together and I don't get this original, something's wrong somewhere. I put a wrong sign somewhere, or I picked the wrong factor pairs. So I'm just going to check and make sure that this works. So I'm just going to foil. First, 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Outers, 2x times positive 2.
4x.
Positive 4x. Inners, negative 1 times 3x. Negative 3x. And then negative 1 times 2. Negative 2. And when I combine like terms, hey, lo and behold, I got there. So now let's try and write that in English. Okay, so you're going to write factor pairs of A and C. Then you're going to find the pair, find the 2 pair, well, find the pair for A that, that works, 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 that wor with a pair for C to add up to B. That's what I did here. And I like to, once I figure it out, I jot it down because sometimes you forget it so quickly. So I'll just say jot it down. And then in your parentheses, those two numbers always come from your factors of A. So fill in with factors of A. And then these two fill in with correct sign and order of factors of C. Give you a minute to finish jotting that down, and then we'll try another one. And I promise they get better. You just gotta try them. Okay, so here's going to be our next problem that we try. All right, so we are going to do 9x squared minus 13x minus 10. Step 1, is there anything to factor out of the whole thing? No, you wish there was, but there's not. Step 2, you're going to write your factor pairs. So for 9, what multiplies together to get me 9?
9 times 1.
9 and 1, and 3 and 3. That's it. By the way, it doesn't matter what order you have them here. If you have 9 and 1, whatever. You just want the pairs. And then I do the same thing for 10. So what multiplies to get me 10? 1, 10, 2, and 5. Nothing else, right? I don't worry too much about the signs until I want to find the pair now. One pair. It's always one on this side and one on this side. Always. Okay? But I just want to figure out the combination of numbers. It could be the first number with the first number and the second with the second. It could be the first with the last. It could be the second with the first. It doesn't matter. It's one of these numbers with one of these numbers. Okay, ready? So let's see. If I just start with the 1 and 9 and the 1 and 10, can you find some combination so that you have one of these with one of these that gets me to a negative 13? So maybe I had a positive 1 and a positive 90. Well, that's certainly not going to get me there. And even if I played around with the negatives, if it was negative 1, negative 90, or 1 positive, 1 negative, I'm never getting to a negative 13, right? With these two pairs. Can we agree? Okay, so that's not the right pair. So maybe then I try, okay, let's try the 3 and the 3 and the 1 and the 10.
Yes.
I can see a way to get to a 13 using one of these with one of these, and then the other one of this with the other one of this.
10 and 3.
10 and 3, right? So if you, oh wait,
No,
Oh, yeah. We gotta have, because you have to have one, it's gotta be a pair from here and a pair from here. So I'd have a 3 and a 30. Never mind. I got excited too, because I thought 10 and 3, but it doesn't work that way. So I have a 3 and a 30. Or, yeah. So that's not my right pair. Okay. So that means I tried both of these with 1 and 10.
Oh, wait.
What?
No, you could do 1 and 9 or 2 and 5.
Ah, so let's try this combo over here. Remember, I'm trying to get to a negative 13. So I could have a 2 and a 45. That's not going to get me there. But I could also have an 18, 9 and 2, and a 5. Right? 9 times 2 gets me 18. And 1 times 5 is 5. 18. If I had negative 18 and a positive 5, wouldn't that get me to a negative 13? Right? And so those two numbers that I just said, negative 18 and a positive 5, that's what I like to jot down. Once you figure out how you add to BB, it's important to know what those numbers are. So we're dealing with the 1 and 9 and the 2 and 5. Does everybody see how we're getting negative 13 now with those pairs? So watch how this goes now. You have your 2 parentheses, and it's always these two numbers are the first terms in each one. So one of them is 1x or just x, and then the other one is 9x. Always. So whatever those two are, they go in the first 2 spots. Now, 2 and 5 need to go in the second spot, but I don't know which one goes where, and I don't know which one goes with what sign. That's why I need these. Okay? So, for example, to get to the negative 18, I have to do 9, and then what am I going to multiply 9 by to get to the negative 18? So that has to go in the other set of parentheses, because I'm going to multiply those two together. And then I also wanted a positive 5. Well, there's a positive 1, so this must be a plus 5. Yep.
Will it always work out? Because like how we wrote it out for the negative 10, it was 2, 5. So would the 2 always go on the first one?
No. Nope. That's why you got to play around with them. So you have to, I like to write these numbers because I know, okay, I know I need to get to a negative 18 and I need to get to a positive 5. So if I already had the positive 9 there, the only way to get to a negative 18 is multiplied by a negative 2. Think about when you're foiling, right? When you do FOIL, let me just rewind back up to here. First, outside, inside, last. Notice that you never multiply the two numbers together that are in the parentheses with each other. I never multiply those two together or these two together. So that's why when I'm trying to get to a negative 19, if I already have a 9 here, I need the negative 2 over here. I'm not going to put the negative 2 with the 9 because I don't multiply these two numbers together. Ever. So if you want to check and FOIL this back together, you certainly can. First, 9x squared. Outers would be plus 5x. Inners, negative 18x. And then last, negative 10. Yep.
Are you going to teach us another way to do it? Because I feel like I learned another way, but I just don't remember what it is. But I feel like it was easier for me.
I might. I don't know. It depends how much time we have.
Because I feel like this way I'm probably never going to get it right.
You will. You will. And here's the other problem. When you start getting to your higher level maths, your pre-calc and your calc, if you only know the other methods, they take way too long. Way too long. So then you're just, because your numbers get huge with that other method.
Yeah, but like this way, I feel like it could also take long because you're also guessing.
But once you get fast at it, I'm telling you, I promise, you are better off here. The other way, the problem with the other way is that now you would multiply your last two numbers together. So now you're talking about,
That's what it was.
you're talking about the factors of 90, which are a lot more than just 9 and 10. You know what I mean?
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? Jaden, special delivery. Okay. You're welcome. So let's try another, because we're only going to get better with practice. Okay, here we go. 8x squared plus 11x plus 3. This one shouldn't be so bad because 3 is prime, so it only has 2 factors. So let's see what we can do. Is there anything to take out of the whole thing? No. What are the factors of 8? 1 and 8, 2 and 4. Factors of 3 are just 1 and 3. So now, without me telling you, you see if you can figure out, you know it's going to be 1 and 3, so which of these two, you're trying to get to a positive 11. You have to multiply one number here with one number here, or here and here. So see which pair is going to get you to an 11. Well, you have to multiply one of these numbers with one of these numbers, and then the other one with the other one, and then you add those two answers together. So you're multiplying first, and then you're adding. So let's walk through our pairs again. I'm going to try 1 and 8 with 1 and 3 because they're the first ones. So I want to multiply one of these numbers with one of these numbers. Let's just multiply 1 and 1 together. Okay, that gets me 1. Multiply 8 and 3 together, that gets me 24. There's no way with a 1 and a 24 that I'm getting to an 11. If I add them together, because you're either going to... There's no way. However, if I tried 8 times 1, that's 8. And 1 times 3, that's 3. Isn't 8 plus 3 11? Yes, so once I figure out, oh yeah, 8 and 3. Everything's positive here, so that makes this one a little bit easier. Now I know what I want. So I don't even have to test the 2 and the 4. You can, but it's not going to work, so don't bother. Once I have my pairs that work, sweet. I make my parentheses. This tells me what goes in the first spot of each, x and 8x. Right, so now look what I want. I want a positive 8. I only have the 1 and 3 to place, right? So, okay, well, if I want a positive 8, it's obviously going to be 8 times positive 1, right? So where's the plus 1 go? Here or here? In spot 1 or spot 2? Yes, because you're multiplying. It has to be in the other parenthesis. And that one's already a 1, and I want to get to a 3, and I got to place a 3, so that one's just the plus 3. You can foil this back together if you like.
Have you ever used this once in your life other than this round?
Mm-hmm.
On what? In college?
I need to make my chart that says, when am I ever going to use this?
I know, but I'm not going to be a biochemical physicist or whatever that is.
Well, you still have to learn it either way, so.
You may not use this directly. I don't know your life. But remember that it's the skill of learning something new that is...
I guess so, but it just seems weird to do this for, like, no reason.
Oh, it's not no reason.
It's a requirement in your school.
I have never met someone that speaks, I don't know, Swahili. Never have met someone that I know of. However, if I took the time to learn the language, I bet I'd be pretty darn good at some other things. It would help me with memorization. It would help me with pronunciation. It probably is similar to some other languages. That's fine. Yeah. Sure. Okay, another one. Let's step it up a notch, shall we? Okay. Can I factor anything out? No. Sorry. You wish you could, but you can't. Because think about it, ladies, gentlemen. If I can factor something out, maybe A would turn back into 1, and then I wouldn't have to bother with any of this. Or maybe my numbers get smaller. The smaller your numbers are, the easier it usually is. But unfortunately for me, there's nothing I can do, so I'm just going to go right ahead with my factors. 1 and 9, 1 and 9, 3 and 3. And then you want all the factors of 80. There's a lot. So 1 and 80, 2 and 40, 3,
No,
4,
probably.
420.
5.
Probably.
Yes.
5 and
16. No. Yeah, 16.
16. 6,
No.
7,
No.
8,
Yeah.
9.
No.
And then you can stop at 10 because now I have all my pairs. Bless you. Right? Because if you kept going, you would just have the same pairs as backwards. So now I'm trying to get to a negative 82.
Ugh. There. 9 times 12. Oh my god. Ugh.
Oh, we could do 1 and 9 and 8 and 10.
Never.
No, I'm not none, I'm just really 2. So good job.
So, Sarah has helped you out quite a bit. Now, don't say anything else, anybody. She says you can do it with these two pairs. 1 and 9 and 8 and 10. See if you can figure out how. How is she getting to a negative 82 with this and this? Once you have it, jot those numbers down. How do you get to a negative 82 with that and that?
Oh.
Did you all arrive at, well, you tell me, negative 90 and positive 8. So again, I like to circle my factors once I know which ones they are, so I don't get lost again. So now, ladies and gentlemen, see if you can figure out how those 4 numbers go inside my parentheses. Well, where'd you get a... Oh, actually, you're right.
Probably do it differently.
No, so here's the problem. With ours, we should be more careful. My last number is positive, right? So that means that my 2 numbers here, these both have to be negatives, because in order to get a positive, don't these 2 have to be negatives to multiply together to get me that number, but add to be that one? So she's right. These aren't the right pairs. Oh, well, it is the right pairs, but it's the wrong. It's not negative 90 and negative 8.
You chose different ones than I did. I did 72 and 10.
That's what you should have done. Yeah. Sorry, I messed up.
A little confused, but-
Sorry. Negative 72 and a negative 10. That's right.
Wait, who was wrong?
Me. So we had the right pairs, but those are the factors that you need. Otherwise, it would have added up to be a negative 80, and we need positive 80. Or multiply to be a negative. Okay, did you put them in correctly? So, the first 2 always go in the first spots. X and 9x. Now, I want to get to a negative 72. So, what goes here? Minus 8. I also want to get to a negative 10. I have the 10 to place. That's a 1, so what goes here? Minus 10. Yep. Sure. if you FOIL that back together, we will get right back to our original. And we're so happy. Let's try another one. I don't think we've done this one yet. Nope. So let's try this one. Okay, nothing for me to factor out. We're going to go step by step here, people. You with me? Feel like not everybody is with me here. Look alive. Here we go. Factors of 9. 1 and 9, 3 and 3. That's it. Factors of 20. 1 and 20, 2 and 10. 3 doesn't go in. 4 and 5, and that's it. I'm trying to get to a positive 31. Since this is negative, one of my numbers will have to be negative, the other will be positive. So let's see. I could do 180 and 1. Nope, that wouldn't work. I could do a 9 and a 20. That's not going to work either. So that's not the right pair. Maybe I try the 3s and the 1 and 20. Don't see that happening either. 60 and a 3, nope, or yeah, I'm pretty much stuck there. So let's try 1 and 9, 2 and 10. 2 and 90, nope, way off. 18 and 10, closer, but it's not going to work. So maybe I try 3 and 3 and 2 and 10. 6 and 30, no. And those are my only choices. Okay, so that's not it. 1 and 9, 4 and 5. Let's see. 36 and 5. Hey, there's something. So, positive 36 and a negative 5. Won't that add to get me a 31? Are you with me, or have I lost you already? Right here. Is everybody okay how I figured out it was 1 and 9, 4 and 5?
I'm just trying to do it for myself.
Once you have it and you jotted down what those two are, fill in your parentheses. Let me give you a moment to put them in where you think they go.
This is where I go. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So here, let me help you with this. So these always go in the first spot of each one, right? So it's going to be an x and a 9x as your first term in each one. That's the easy part. That's always that way. Always. Always, 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 always. You now need to place a 4 and a 5 in here. So that's either going to be a 4 or 5, and that's either going to be a 4 or 5. And I don't know the signs either. I have to worry about positives and negatives too. I want to get to a 36, a positive 36 and a negative 5. Well, I'm obviously not going to multiply 9 by anything to get to negative 5, right? But I can multiply 9 by something to get to 36. 4, right? Right? So, since I have to multiply the 9 and the 4 together, and I want it to be a positive 36, that tells me what goes right there. Positive 4. You would never, ever, ever put the positive 4 in with the 9 because you don't multiply the two numbers in the same parentheses with each other. Ever. So if I want to multiply to get a 36, I have to have one of the numbers in each set. A 9 and a 4. And now I also want a negative 5. So what would I multiply with the positive 1 by to get the negative 5? Negative 5. So I just make that a negative. And now you can FOIL that back together real quick if you want, but it should work out just fine. And sometimes I just FOIL in my head, right? I get 9x squared, and then I get a minus 5 and a plus 36. Yep, that's a plus 31. And then a minus 20 at the end. Okay, let's try one more where I kind of let you lead the pack. And I don't really tell you how to do it. See if you can get this one for yourself. Try it. Do as much as you can. Try it, try it, try it, try it. No. You want the pairs that are going to get you to a 5. So hopefully you got this. If you didn't, hopefully you got this far at least. You list the 2 factors. So I always just like to start with the first pair and the first pair. You really only have 2 options. You can multiply 1 and 1 together and get 1, 6 and 4 together and get 24. Well, 1 and 24, could that ever get me to a 5? No. So that's not the right pair. Maybe instead I should have done 1 times 4 and 6 times 1.
Where are you getting the 24 from?
I had done 6 times 4.
Well, no.
I'm explaining why this doesn't work. So 6 times 1 and 4 times 1, a 6 and a 4, they're not going to get me to a 5. So this pair and this pair are not the right set. So now maybe you try 2 and 3 with 1 and 4. So either you're going to have 2 times 1, which is 2, 3 times 4, which is 12. 2 and 12. Is that going to get you to a 5? No. So maybe you try, all right, maybe it's 3 and 1, which is 3, 2 and 4, which is 8.
No. Yes.
Yeah. 8 and 3, if I,
11.
but I could have a negative.
You have a negative 3.
So I'll have a negative 3 and a positive 8. Ding, ding, ding. Negative 3, positive 8. As soon as you know it, jot it down. So I'm using these 2, a negative 3 and a positive 8. What goes in my first spot of each one? 2x and 3x. It's always those 2. One goes there, one goes there. Now listen, can I multiply 2 by something to get negative 3?
Yeah.
Well, something weird. But I can easily multiply 3 by something to get to negative 3, can't I? What? Yes, and I have to place a 1 and a 4. So where does the negative 1 go? Yes, right there. And then I also have to place the 4. Well, lo and behold, the other number I'm trying to get to is 8. I already have a 2, so that means that right here goes what?
Some number plus 4.
Positive 4. You're always placing these 4 numbers. It's just, you already know where those 2 go. It's just a matter of is that the 1 and that's the 4, or is it the other way around? And you have to worry about their signs. So once you have these 2 pairs circled, you know what the 4 numbers are. You just have to get them in the right order and with the right sign. And if you jotted these down, that helps you an awful lot. You can always check by foiling, but this should come out nicely.